Hey everybody, Mike Hess, your friendly neighborhood respiratory therapist here. And as I look outside my window here at the sun shining in, I'm reminded that summer is right around the corner. That means a couple of things. First of all, of course, World Bronchiectasis Day coming up July 1st. But also we need to talk about staying healthy and keeping symptoms low while we're outdoors. We talk a lot about COPD symptoms sometimes getting flared up by things like animal hair and dust and perfumes, things like that. But we also have to remember that there's a lot of stuff flying around the atmosphere that can actually cause those symptoms to pop up also. Now again, we can talk a lot about pollen and things like that and keeping an eye on pollen counts. But I want to talk about some things that you might not necessarily think about. For example, the temperature. As it gets warmer outside, it can get a little bit more tricky to breathe. Particularly with those warmer temperatures, often comes a lot more humidity. And with the air actually being thicker due to that extra water content, it is harder to move it in and out of the lungs. And when you're already starting behind the eight ball, as with COPD, that's just going to make it even tougher. On top of that, the heat and humidity are kind of a great environment to create ozone or to trap ozone near the surface. You're probably familiar with the ozone layer way up in the sky, which is actually good for us because it helps block a lot of the sun's radiation from hitting the surface. However, when ozone develops at ground level, it can actually make it harder to breathe. It inflames your airways, causes some swelling in there, and again makes things harder to move, harder to get the air in and out. So we want to monitor those conditions carefully, and there's a couple of different ways to do that. Most places, city governments, county governments, state governments will put out what's called an ozone action day or an ozone alert day. And those are times where you just want to make sure that you're going to be spending a little bit more time in the house, away from filling up gas tanks and engine exhausts and all those sorts of things that are prime kind of breeding grounds for ozone development. You can also go to a website called www.airnow.gov, airnow.gov, and you can actually get, based on your zip code, an accurate reading of the atmospheric conditions in your area, the air quality index they call it. And again, these are things you might not necessarily be able to get away from, but you can monitor your outdoor exposure a little bit more carefully and maybe stay inside in the air conditioning, go visit some friends or family with air conditioning, a community center, what have you, and just make sure that you're keeping yourself breathing as easily as possible. Another thing I've been asked a lot in my time as a respiratory therapist is, Mike, it seems like every time a storm starts brewing, my breathing gets a little bit worse. Are those two things related, or is that just a coincidence? And the answer is they are absolutely related. Not only are a lot of storms caused by, high humidity levels, like we are just talking about, kind of that heat and humidity making the air unstable, but we also know changes in barometric pressure that usually accompany these kinds of big thunderstorms also can affect your breathing. We want to make sure that you're just being aware of that and know that if a storm is coming, if storms are in the forecast, maybe take it easy a little bit. So again, there's a lot of other stuff out there to consider, not just the normal things like pollen and animal hair and all those sorts of things. Make sure you're being mindful of the heat, make sure you're being mindful of the humidity, the air quality, all those sorts of things so that you can stay away from those flare-ups and enjoy your summer. So until next time, take care of yourselves.